The music was too loud, the champagne too sweet, and every laugh in that hall felt like a knife. I stood near the corner table, clutching a glass I couldn't afford. Clara's wedding dress shimmered under the chandelier like it belonged in another world. I guess it did, Adam. She spotted me, and smiled soft at first, then distant. You came. I didn't think you would. I said I'd be here, I muttered. My voice sounded small against the violin playing behind her. Didn't think you'd want me though. She tilted her head. You're my past, not my enemy. I wanted you to see I'm happy. I forced a smile. You look happy. Ethan walked over, hands sliding around her waist like he was claiming property. So this is the ex, he said, eyes scanning me as if he were pricing a used car. You clean up better than I expected. I clenched my jaw. And you talk cheaper than I expected. Clara laughed. That sound bright, mocking, unforgettable. Don't start, Adam. Not today. I'm not starting anything, I said. Just watching the show, she sighed, brushing invisible dust from Ethan's sleeve. You always had that temper. It's what kept you from success. Right, I said quietly. Not the lack of money, or luck. My temper. Her eyes flickered, maybe guilt, maybe amusement. You were always dreaming big. But dreams don't pay rent. Ethan's practical, stable. Ethan grinned. Some of us prefer results over romance. Something cracked inside me, but I kept my face steady. You'll get your results, Ethan. One day, you'll see mine too. He chuckled. Let me guess you'll start your own company. Become a billionaire out of thin air. I'll become something, I said. Maybe not today, but someday. Clara laughed again, louder this time. You always say that you'll make it. Adam, you can't even keep a job. Her words cut deeper than she knew. The music drowned for a second. All I heard was that laughter echoing in my chest. Thanks for the reminder, I said. I'll use it, she waved dismissively. Don't take it personally. You're sweet, but this world eats sweet people alive. I guess I'll learn to bite back. Ethan raised his glass. To the newlyweds, he said mockingly, and to old flames learning their place. I left before I said something stupid. The hallway outside was empty, silent except for the echo of her laugh. My hands trembled. 5 years together, and she'd reduced me to a punchline. I stepped outside. Cold wind slapped my face, sharper than any insult. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through old photos, her smile, our cheap apartment. The coffee shop where I promised I'd give her everything. I whispered, guess it wasn't enough. A voice startled me. Rough night. It was one of the waiters, a young guy taking a smoke break. You could say that, he shrugged. You want a cigarette? I don't smoke, I said. Then you're already doing better than most grooms tonight. He laughed and walked back in. I stood there a while, watching cars pull up, guests laughing as they left. The world kept moving, completely fine with breaking people like me. I felt small, but something inside me, something raw, started burning. When I went back inside to grab my coat, Clara caught me at the doorway. You're leaving? Yeah, she frowned. Don't be dramatic, Adam. Stay, have cake. I'm not hungry. She stepped closer. You'll move on, right? I don't want guilt hanging between us. Don't worry, I said. You gave me something better than closure. She raised a brow. And what's that? Motivation. She laughed again, soft this time, like she thought I was joking. You'll never change, always chasing impossible things. Maybe, I said, meeting her eyes, but at least I chase. Ethan's voice called from behind her, Clara. Come on, pictures. She looked at me for one last second. Goodbye, Adam, goodbye, I whispered, though she was already walking away. Back in my apartment, I threw my keys on the table and stared at the cracked ceiling. I could still smell her perfume on my jacket. You'll never make it, she'd said. The words replayed like a curse. I sat down and laughed quiet, broken. Then, I opened my old laptop. It barely worked, the screen flickering like it wanted to give up. Not tonight, I told it. We're both staying alive. I opened a blank document and typed one line. Plan to rise. I didn't know what that meant yet, but it felt like breathing after drowning. My phone buzzed. It was Maya, an old coworker from the diner. Heard about Clara? You okay? I typed back, not really, but maybe I will be. You always say that, she replied. Want to talk? Not tonight. Need to think. She sent one last message. Then promise me you won't do anything stupid. I smiled faintly. Too late. I'm planning to live. By midnight, I'd packed my duffel bag clothes, a notebook, the cheap watch Clara gave me before she traded love for luxury. I stood by the window, city lights flickering like distant fires. For a moment, I imagined her laugh fading into the noise of traffic. Losing its power, I whispered, "One day, you'll see." The words felt right, like a vow carved into my bones. I didn't want revenge, not yet. I wanted transformation. I wanted to prove that the man she laughed at could become someone worth remembering. I zipped the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and took one last look at the room we'd shared. Goodbye, I said again. This time not to her, but to the version of me that still needed her approval. When the door closed behind me, I felt lighter, broken, yes, but alive. The night air hit my face like a dare, and I took it. I never knew rock bottom had a smell until I started living in a $10 hostel that reeked of mold and desperation. Every night, I stared at the peeling ceiling and told myself, this is temporary. But temporary stretched into months. Still alive, Adam? Maya asked one night, sliding me a free coffee from behind the cafe counter. Barely, I said, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. But hey, caffeine counts as progress, right? She smiled. You call this progress. I call it survival. You need more than survival, she said softly. You need a plan. I looked around the flickering neon light, the cracked floor tiles, the old man asleep in the corner booth. Plans don't work for people like me. Then change the kind of person you are, she shot back. I raised a brow. You make it sound easy. It's not, but neither is dying slowly in the same place. Her words stuck. Maya had that kind of voice that made even pain sound logical. I'd met her 2 months after Clara's wedding, when I took a job bussing tables in the night cafe she worked at. She wasn't beautiful in the magazine sense, but there was something steady about her, something that didn't flinch when the world did. You ever think some people are just not meant to win? I asked. No, she said immediately. I think some people stop trying too soon. I laughed bitterly. Then I've been stopping my whole life. She leaned over the counter. Then start. That one word, start, became the only thing that echoed in my head as I lay in my bunk later that night. The other men snored around me, some reeking of beer, others of regret. I stared at my phone screen, scrolling through old motivational videos, half mocking them, half clinging to them. One clip said, "You don't need opportunities. You need skills." So I decided to learn anything. I started watching free business lectures online during my cafe breaks. Marketing, sales, coding, design, whatever I could find. The customers thought I was ignoring them. The manager thought I was wasting time, but Maya saw what I was doing. You're teaching yourself business, she asked one evening, trying to on an old phone with cracked speakers. Hey, it still plays sound, I said, grinning. She laughed. You're insane. Maybe insanity's the first step to change. Or to burn out, she said. I shrugged. Then I'll burn out learning something new. She looked at me for a moment, then nodded. I'll cover your shift tomorrow. Go to the library. They've got free Wi-Fi and heat. Why would you do that? Because you're actually trying. That's rare here. That small act meant everything. For the first time in months, someone believed I could still climb. A few weeks later, I was sitting in the library when an older man sat across from me, tapping his pen. You've been reading that business plan book for 2 hours, he said. You starting a company, or just pretending? I looked up, surprised. Just learning. For now, he smiled faintly. Good. Most people pretend to know everything already. You're at least honest. We talked for a bit. His name was Mr. Dalton, a small startup owner struggling to stay afloat. You ever worked in business before? He asked. I've worked in failure, I said. Does that count? He chuckled. That's more experience than half my staff. I thought he was joking, but the next day he called me. You want to learn? Come to my office. No pay for the first month, but I'll teach you. Maya almost spilled coffee when I told her. You said yes, right? Of course, I said. I'm not stupid. Good, you deserve this, Adam. Deserve. I repeated. I haven't earned anything yet. Then earn it. Mr. Dalton's office was tiny, 2 desks, 1 coffee machine, and a whiteboard filled with desperate scribbles. Welcome to the chaos, he said. I laughed. I've seen worse. Good attitude, he said. Now, tell me what you know about clients. Only that they expect more than they pay for. He grinned. You'll fit right in. Every day, I learned something new. Pitching, writing proposals, managing people. Even how to fake confidence when you didn't have any. One night after work, he said, You remind me of myself, 20 years ago. Let me guess, broke and clueless. Hungry, he corrected, and that's better. Those words meant more than he knew. Hunger was something I understood. It was what kept me alive when pride failed. One evening, as I walked back to the hostel, Maya called. So, business genius, she teased. How's your fancy job? It's not fancy, but it's something. Are you happy? I hesitated. I don't know if that's the word, but I feel like I'm moving again. That's all that matters. You know, I said, if I ever make it big, I'm buying you a cafe. You'll own it, not serve in it. She laughed. I'll hold you to that. You should, I said. I keep my promises now. Later that night, I sat in bed, notebook open. Every insult Clara ever threw at me replayed not as pain, but as fuel. Her voice saying, You'll never make it, pushed me to type faster, to read longer, to stay awake when others quit. For the first time in years, I wasn't just surviving, I was building, and somewhere between exhaustion and ambition. I realized something Mr. Dalton once said during lunch. Success doesn't start with opportunity, it starts with endurance. I whispered it to myself, staring at my reflection in the window. Then I'll endure. I didn't know how far I'd go, but I knew this much. Clara's laughter had built a fire that wasn't dying anytime soon. I wasn't supposed to be there. The gala invitation came through my company's sponsorship list, and I almost declined. But something in me, pride, curiosity, maybe fate, told me to go. Relax, Adam, I told myself in the mirror that evening. It's just another event. But the moment I walked into that chandelier-lit hall, surrounded by laughter, clinking glasses, and the sound of polished success, I knew I'd stepped into something deeper. Mr. Hale. Glad you could make it, said one of the firm's directors, clapping me on the back. Wouldn't miss it, I said, adjusting my tie. Scanning the crowd, and then I froze. There she was, Clara. She stood near the champagne table, draped in silver silk, a diamond necklace glinting at her throat. Her hand rested lightly on Ethan's arm. Ethan, in his tailored arrogance, sipping champagne like the world existed solely to applaud him. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Every memory, her laughter, her words, that damn line, "You're too soft for this world," came roaring back. I tried to look away, but her gaze found me first. Her smile faltered. Adam. Her lips moved silently before sound caught up. I stepped forward. Clara. Ethan. Ethan turned, eyebrows raised. Well, this is unexpected. Didn't think I'd see you at one of these. Hale. I could say the same, I replied. He smirked, eyes flicking over my suit. You've done well for yourself. Not bad for a guy who used to serve drinks at his own breakup party. I chuckled lightly. Some people improve with time. Clara's eyes widened slightly, as if she hadn't expected confidence from me. Adam. She began, but Ethan cut her off. Sweetheart, we should greet the board members. They're expecting us. She hesitated, glancing at me one last time before following him. That brief look, it wasn't pity, it was confusion, maybe a touch of regret, as they walked away. I could feel the echo of her perfume, that same one she wore the night she left me. Adam. A familiar voice pulled me back. It was Maya. You okay? She asked softly. I just ran into a ghost, I said. She frowned. Clara. I nodded. Her expression softened, but her tone stayed firm. Don't let her drag you back into that place. You're not that man anymore. I know, I said. But seeing her, it reminded me why I started. Maya tilted her head. You started to prove something to yourself. Don't twist that into proving something to her. Her words hit home, but, beneath the reason, a spark had already caught fire. Later that night, as the gala lights dimmed and guests began leaving, I found myself outside, staring at the city skyline. The reflection of those towers danced on the river, each window a small symbol of success I hadn't yet claimed. Soft for this world, I murmured. Let's see. I pulled out my phone and opened a note I'd written years ago, a list of goals, most unchecked. Start a company. Build something from nothing. Never let their laughter define me again. Maya joined me a few minutes later, holding 2 paper cups of coffee. You planning world domination out here? She teased. I smiled faintly. Something like that. Tell me, do you think I could build something of my own? From scratch? She said, smirking. You're the only person I know who'd rather work through midnight than sleep. So yes, you can. Her faith was a quiet strength I didn't know I needed. But inside me, something darker whispered, not just ambition, but fire. I imagined Clara's face again, not in love, but in disbelief. I wanted to see that look reversed, for her to watch me rise beyond reach. Not revenge, I told myself. Recognition. Still, when I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about Ethan's smirk. His tone, the way he spoke like he owned everything, including the woman who once promised me forever. I opened my laptop. The glow illuminating my small apartment, a blank document stared back. Company vision. I typed at the top. I didn't know what it would be, yet tech, innovation, maybe consulting. But it would carry my name. Every lesson Mr. Dalton had taught me about leadership. Every night, Maya had covered my shift so I could study. They all came flooding in like a blueprint. I started drafting plans, funding models, strategies, partnerships. Hours slipped by unnoticed. At 3 a.m., I leaned back, eyes burning. One day, I whispered, "They'll remember this night." The next morning, I walked into work feeling different, focused. Big night. My coworker joked. You could say that, I said, logging in. It's the night everything changed. During lunch, Maya sat beside me. So what's next? I looked up from my notes. I'm starting something. Not today, but soon. Name? She asked. Not yet, I said with a smile. But when it's ready, they'll all know. That evening, as I walked past the same coffee shop where Clara once mocked my dreams, I caught my reflection in the glass. Sharper, calmer, determined. For years, her laughter haunted me now. It fueled me. The spark was lit, and I wasn't planning to let it die. When I started Airing Technologies, I didn't have an office, just a cracked laptop, a cluttered desk, and an idea that refused to die. Maya, I said one night, staring at a half-written code on my screen, you sure you want to do this? There's no guarantee we'll make it. She grinned, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up. I'm not here for guarantees, Adam. I'm here because you're insane enough to believe we can. Laugh cut through the exhaustion. That was Maya, grounded, fearless, and annoyingly optimistic. A week later, Lucas joined us. He was a programmer I'd met at a tech conference, brilliant, chaotic, and allergic to sleep. Your company name's Aaron, he said, squinting at the whiteboard. Sounds like a sci-fi hero. I'm in. You don't even know the plan? I told him. He shrugged. Don't need to. You've got the eyes of a man who's either going to succeed or explode, trying. I like that energy. From that day on, we became a trio of mad dreamers coding in cafes, pitching to investors. Eating noodles at 2 a.m., but dreams are expensive. The first investor ghosted us after 3 weeks. The second said, too idealistic. The third laughed in my face. You're competing against titans, Hale, he said, leaning back in his chair. You'll be lucky if they don't crush you for sport. I smiled tightly. They can try. By the fifth rejection, I started doubting everything. Maybe we scale down, I muttered one night. Maya looked up sharply. No, we scale up. You told me once, we don't build for comfort, we build for legacy. Her conviction hit harder than caffeine. Then came the email, Clara and Ethan Enterprises. They were looking for a software partner for a logistics project. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. Lucas noticed. Why do you look like you've seen a ghost? It's Clara, I said quietly. Her company's requesting proposals. Maya froze. You're not thinking, oh, I am, I said. They'll hear from us. We worked 3 nights straight. Lucas handled the back end. Maya refined the pitch deck. I wrote the proposal sharp, confident, ruthless. This is it, Lucas said, stretching. You send this, and we're playing in the big leagues. I hit send. A week passed. No reply. Then a message popped up in my inbox, from Ethan Reynolds. Subject, Re-Partnership. Proposal Aaron, Technology's impressive presentation. Unfortunately, we don't collaborate with hobbyist firms. Good luck though. You'll need it. The word hobbyist burned like acid. I reread it twice, my jaw tightening. Maya looked over my shoulder. He didn't just say that. He did. Lucas whistled. Man's got the ego of a small planet. I closed the laptop slowly. Fine, he wants to mock us. Let's make sure next time he sees our name, it's above his. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk, eyes locked on the glowing Aaron logo I'd designed. Wanna be firm, I whispered. We'll see. The next morning, I called a meeting. We need capital, I said. Real funding. Maya raised an eyebrow. From where? The last 5 investors treated us like we were kids selling lemonade. Then we find someone who drinks lemonade with steel in it. Enter Mr. Park. He was known as a ruthless investor, the kind who'd cut you off mid-sentence if you wasted his time. I got 10 minutes with him. He sat behind a minimalist desk, eyes sharp as glass. Aaron Technologies, he said, flipping through our deck. Why do you think I should care? I met his gaze. Because we don't just code software, Mr. Park, we build systems that outlast mistakes, and I've made enough to know how not to repeat them. His lip twitched, almost a smile. Convincing words. But words don't scale businesses. Neither does fear, I replied. He leaned back, studying me. You've been rejected, haven't you? More times than I can count, and yet you're still pitching. I don't stop, sir. I adapt. For a moment, silence. Then he said, you've got 500,000 conditional on progress within 6 months. Fail, and I take control. I didn't hesitate. Deal. When I told Maya and Lucas, Lucas nearly dropped his coffee. $500,000. He's either brave or insane. Maybe both, I said. But it's our shot. The next months were war coding marathons, client rejections, server crashes, sleepless nights. Adam? You've got to rest, Maya said once. Handing me coffee. I'll rest when we launch, I said. We lost a small contract, then another, but the third, a logistics automation deal, hit big. Suddenly, Aaron wasn't just surviving, it was growing. Lucas burst into the office one morning, waving the signed papers. We did it. First, 6-figure deal. I grabbed the contract, disbelief melting into laughter. We're not dreamers anymore. We're builders. Maya smiled softly. You were always a builder. You just needed the right storm. By the end of that quarter, Aaron had 5 employees, 3 clients, and one relentless goal. One evening, while reviewing progress reports, I saw Clara's company name again, this time in an industry newsletter. Ethan and Clara Enterprises seeks new tech partner after project delays. I smirked. Oh, how poetic, Maya noticed. What's funny? Just the universe catching up, I said. Lucas leaned back, feet on the desk. So what now, boss? Now? I said, closing the laptop. We build higher. They mocked us for being wannabes. Let's make them wish they'd said yes, Maya grinned. Revenge through success. Recognition, I corrected. But yeah, maybe a little revenge too. That night, I looked at our logo again, the Aaron A glowing faintly on my monitor. From a broken dream to an empire in progress. Every insult, every betrayal, every sleepless night had forged me sharper. Said I was too soft for this world. They were right, until I learned how to turn pain into armor. 5 years changed everything, except the memory of that laugh. Aaron. Technologies wasn't just surviving anymore. We were leading. Our software powered half the logistics market that Ethan once ruled. I didn't gloat, not publicly. But deep down, I knew the universe had a twisted sense of humor. Maya walked into my office one morning, tablet in hand. You need to see this. What is it? I asked, sipping coffee. She handed it to me. A job application. You'll want to read the name. I glanced down, then froze. Ethan Parker, former CEO Reynolds Logistics. My lips twitched. You're joking. Nope. Managerial position in operations. He must not have realized who owns Aaron. I laughed quietly, shaking my head. 5 years ago, he said I'd need luck. I guess luck finally caught up to him. Maya leaned against the desk. You're going to reject him, right? Reject? I smiled faintly. No, I'm going to interview him. Her eyes widened. Adam, come on. I want to look him in the eye, I said, standing. Not for revenge. For closure. The following week, Ethan walked into Aaron's glass conference room, resume in hand. I sat at the head of the table, calm, composed, almost amused. He didn't recognize me at first. His once pristine suit looked worn, his eyes duller. He extended his hand politely. Good morning. I'm Ethan Parker. I shook it, suppressing a smirk. Adam Hale. He blinked. His eyes widened slightly. Adam. That's right, I said evenly. The wannabe firm guy. Silence fell like a dropped stone. His hand lowered slowly. Didn't realize no reason you should have, I said, leaning back. 5 years ago, I wasn't worth remembering. He sat down awkwardly. You've done well, I'd say so. I folded my arms. You're applying for operations manager. Yes? He adjusted his tie, voice faltering. After the merger collapse, my company Clara and I things just didn't go as planned. Ah, Clara, I said lightly. How is she? He hesitated. She left? 2 years ago. I raised a brow. I see. Guess, some promises don't age well. He winced, but tried to maintain composure. Look, Adam, I know we didn't part on good terms. But I've learned from my mistakes. I just need a chance to rebuild. Rebuild, I echoed. That's a word I understand. He nodded slowly. I remember your pitch back then. You said you build systems that outlast mistakes. Guess you were right. I let the words hang there. You mocked me for dreaming too big, he sighed. I was arrogant. Thought money made me invincible. And now? Now I know success isn't what you own, it's what you can rebuild after you lose everything. For a moment, I studied him. His voice wasn't full of pride anymore. Just fatigue, the kind that only failure teaches. Maya entered then, pretending it was a routine check-in. You need me, Adam? Just finishing up, I said. Mr. Parker here is seeking a position with us. Her expression hardened. Oh, that Mr. Parker. Ethan looked uneasy. I take it I wasn't popular here. Maya crossed her arms. You once called this place a hobbyist firm, he exhaled. I deserve that. She looked at me. What are you going to do? I smiled faintly. I'm still deciding. She nodded and left, shooting Ethan one last look. Ethan leaned forward. Adam, if you don't want to hire me, I understand. But if you do, I'll work twice as hard as anyone else here. I'm not the man I used to be. I studied him quietly, then said, Tell me, Ethan, why Aaron? Why me? He hesitated. Because you won. And I want to understand how. I didn't expect that answer. He continued softly. When you lose everything, you start seeing who actually deserved what they built. You did. I didn't. For a moment, the room felt heavy. The irony was almost too poetic. I tapped my pen against the table. You realize what it means, working under someone you once ridiculed. He nodded. I've already swallowed my pride. What's left is just survival. I leaned forward. Then tell me something. When you laughed at me that night at your wedding, did you ever think I'd make it? He lowered his gaze. No, and that's on me. Good, I said quietly. Because I did. He looked up, confused. So, what now? I stood, extending my hand again. Welcome to Aaron Technologies, Mr. Parker. Let's see if you've actually changed. Shock flickered across his face. You're hiring me? I am. Why? Because I don't need to destroy you to prove I've won, I said. You'll prove it for me every time you walk through these doors and call me sir. He swallowed hard, then nodded slowly. Understood. When he left, Maya stepped in immediately. You hired him? Yes. She threw her hands up. Adam, that man, I know who he is, I interrupted. But sometimes, the best revenge isn't humiliation. It's grace. She stared at me for a long moment. You've changed. I smiled faintly. I had to. Revenge feeds you once. Power keeps you full. Later that night, I sat in my office, looking out over the city lights. The same skyline that once made me feel small, now stretched beneath my company's name, Aaron Technologies. My reflection in the glass was calm, older, sharper. Full circle, I whispered. Ethan would walk into this building tomorrow morning, humbled, broken, rebuilding, and I'd watched the man who once mocked me work to keep my empire running. That was justice, not loud. Not cruel, just quietly complete. It was late afternoon when Maya knocked on my office door. There's someone here to see you, she said. I didn't look up from my screen. I'm busy. She hesitated. It's Clara. My fingers froze on the keyboard. Clara. Maya nodded. She said it's important. For a second, I just stared at the desk, listening to my heartbeat echo in the silence. Then I exhaled. Send her in. When Clara walked in, time bent for a moment. The woman who once laughed at my dreams now stood before me like a ghost, pale, nervous, and far smaller than I remembered. Her confidence was gone, replaced by something fragile. Adam, she said softly. I leaned back in my chair. Clara, she looked around the room, the glass walls, the city skyline behind me, the Aaron logo shining faintly on the wall. You built all this? I did. Her eyes glistened. It's beautiful. I didn't respond. I almost didn't come, she continued, clasping her trembling hands. I didn't know if you'd even want to see me. I didn't, I said plainly. But you're here, so say what you came to say. She swallowed hard. Ethan's ruined everything. The company, the money, even us. He's lost control. I tilted my head slightly. I heard rumors. They're true. Her voice cracked. He's drowning in debt. He blames me for it all. I left him. I said nothing. For a long moment, the only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioner. She shifted uneasily under my gaze. You're quiet, she whispered. You always were, but this feels different. I met her eyes. Because I don't owe you words anymore. She flinched slightly. I know I hurt you. You did more than hurt me, I said evenly. You made me believe I was nothing. Her voice shook. I was stupid. I thought success came from money. I thought Ethan could give me the life you couldn't. And did he? She closed her eyes. No, he gave me noise. Flash lies. I studied her face, the same eyes that once looked down on me, now dulled by regret. So why are you here? She took a shaky breath. Because I needed to say I'm sorry. I leaned forward slightly. For what, exactly? For laughing, she said, tears sliding down her cheeks. For walking away when you needed me. For choosing pride over love. Her voice broke completely. You were right, Adam. You did make it. You became everything I never believed you could. I looked at her silently. You were right, she whispered again. I let the words hang in the air. 5 years ago, those same lips told me I'd never make it. Now, they trembled as she admitted it. But I didn't feel the triumph I once imagined. No rage, no satisfaction. Just stillness. Clara, I said quietly, I didn't need you to believe in me. She blinked through tears. Then what did you need? I needed me, I said simply. That's what I learned. You can lose love, money, even your pride, but if you don't lose yourself, you can start again. She covered her mouth, sobbing softly. You really have changed. I smiled faintly. I had to. Pain does that. She stepped closer, voice trembling. Do you hate me? I shook my head. No. I outgrew you. She froze, like the words had cut through her completely. I don't hate you, Clara, I continued. In some strange way, I thank you. If you hadn't broken me, I'd never have rebuilt myself this way. Her tears fell faster. I don't deserve forgiveness. Maybe not, I said gently. But forgiveness isn't for you. It's for me. She looked up, confused. For you, to stop carrying what you left behind. She nodded slowly, eyes red and hollow. Ethan, he said you'd mock me if I ever came to you. I thought about it once, I admitted, but that was a different me. She tried to smile, but it wavered. You're stronger than both of us ever were, I shrugged. Maybe just more tired. Silence fell again, heavy, bittersweet. I should go, she said finally. Turning toward the door, Clara, I called. She stopped. Take care of yourself, I said softly. Not for anyone else this time, just for you. Her eyes shimmered again. I'll try. When the door closed behind her, I sat there for a long time, staring at the reflection of the skyline on the glass wall. Maya entered quietly a few minutes later. She's gone. Yeah. Maya studied me. You okay? I thought I'd feel something different, I said. Anger? Pride? Something. And what do you feel? Peace, I admitted. Like a story finally ended. She smiled. That's called closure. I leaned back in my chair, letting out a long breath. Closure, right. Outside the city glowed lights flickering like small promises. For years, I imagined this day, her apology. My victory, the moment I'd finally win, but the truth was simpler. I didn't win over her. I won beyond her. I picked up my phone, staring at Erin's logo on the lock screen. You were right, Clara, I murmured. I did make it. But not for you. I stood, walking to the window. The reflection staring back at me wasn't the boy she left, it was the man who built something out of the ashes she left behind. For the first time in years, I smiled, not out of revenge, but release. That moment wasn't victory, it was freedom. When Maya told me Ethan had accepted the offer, I didn't know whether to laugh or shake my head. He starts Monday, she said. You sure about this? I'm sure, I replied. It's just business. Maya crossed her arms. Business or payback? Both can coexist, I said, half smiling. She sighed. Just don't let old wounds run your company. I won't, I promised. But deep down, I wasn't sure if I believed myself. Monday came. Ethan Parker, once the man who mocked my ideas, stole my clients, and laughed when I failed, now stood at my office door wearing a nervous smile and a borrowed sense of humility. Adam, he greeted, voice tight. Ethan, I said evenly. Welcome to Aaron. He nodded awkwardly. Appreciate the opportunity. I gestured toward the open plan floor. You'll be working under Lucas in operations. We value collaboration and punctuality here. His jaw tensed. Understood. When he left, Maya leaned in from her desk. You're scaring him. I'm not doing anything, I said. Exactly, she muttered. That's what's scary. The first few weeks were strange. Every morning, Ethan would pass my glass office, avoiding eye contact, pretending to read something on his phone. I never called him out, never corrected him in meetings, never raised my voice, and yet, the silence between us said everything. Words, COULDN. Single quotes T. One afternoon, Lucas knocked on my door. He's trying, you know, he said. I looked up from my reports. Who, Ethan? He's quiet, stays late, doesn't talk much. You could almost feel sorry for him. Almost, I echoed. Lucas chuckled. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Not in the way you think, I said. This isn't revenge. It's Balance. Balance. He repeated with a smirk. That's what we're calling it now. I leaned back in my chair. He took years of my life and confidence. Now, he reports to me. I'd say the universe did the heavy lifting. A week later, Ethan requested a meeting. He entered my office like a student entering detention. I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance, he began. Everyone deserves a chance, I said. He nodded, fidgeting. I know what people say about me. I know what you must think. I don't waste thoughts on things that don't move me forward, I replied. His eyes flickered with something guilt. Maybe. I was an idiot, Adam. Back then, I thought I was untouchable. I was wrong. I folded my hands. You were arrogant. Now you're just learning humility. He lowered his gaze. Guess I earned that. Probably, I said, keeping my tone neutral. But you're here now. Do the work. Let time clean up the rest. He nodded and left quietly. Maya appeared moments later. I saw him leave. Did he grovel? Not exactly. So what did you say? That I don't waste energy on the past. She smirked. That's colder than firing him. It's not cold, I said softly. It's freedom. The truth was, I didn't hate Ethan anymore. Watching him walk through those same hallways where I once dreamed alone was enough. Seeing him taste humility, that was justice without cruelty. I'd thought revenge would look like shouting. Triumph, maybe even humiliation. But it didn't. It looked like peace. Still, part of me wrestled with pride. Some nights I'd replay old memories. His laughter, Clara's betrayal, and feel that old fire stir. But then I'd remember who I'd become, and I'd let it go. One evening, as I was leaving the office, Lucas joined me at the elevator. You ever think about firing him? He asked. Sometimes, I admitted. Then why don't you? Because I don't want to be him, I said. He taught me what not to be. Lucas grinned. So this is your version of revenge? No, I said. This is my version of restraint. He nodded slowly. You've changed, man. I had to, I said. Anger built my empire. Peace will keep it. Later that week, I overheard two interns whispering near the break room. Is it true he used to be Adam's boss? One asked. Yeah, the other said. Now he works under him. Talk about karma. They laughed, not realizing I was behind them. When they noticed me, their faces turned pale. Don't gossip, I said calmly. We treat everyone with respect here. They nodded quickly and scattered. I looked at Ethan across the room, bent over his desk, trying to fix a report error. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost the next morning, Maya stopped by with coffee. You've been quiet lately, she said. Just thinking. About him. About me, I corrected. How close I came to becoming what I hated. She tilted her head, and I realized revenge doesn't always need a blade. Sometimes, silence cuts deeper. She smiled faintly. That's poetic. It's also true, I said. If I'd yelled, humiliated him, or thrown his past in his face, I'd still be chained to it. But now. I gestured toward the window, where the city pulsed with light. Now, I'm free. Maya sipped her coffee. Lucas said you were planning to promote him. I nodded. He's competent. I reward effort, not ego. She blinked. You'd promote the man who almost destroyed you. I'd promote the man who's learning, I said. Because forgiveness isn't weakness, it's control. She smiled, shaking her head. You're full of surprises. Maybe, I said, turning back to my screen. Or maybe I just finally learned what real power looks like. That evening, I caught Ethan at the elevator again. He looked uneasy. Adam, why did you hire me? I met his eyes. Because everyone deserves a second chance, even those who wasted their first. He hesitated. And you really forgive me? I already did, I said quietly. You just showed up late to hear it. He looked down, nodded once, and stepped inside as the doors closed. I saw something in his face, not guilt, not shame, but respect, and for the first time, I felt the same. Walking out into the night, I breathed in the cool air. The city humming softly around me. Revenge didn't build, Aaron, redemption did, and in that silence where pride once screamed, I found peace loud enough to last a lifetime. The auditorium lights were blinding, hundreds of faces stared back at me, investors, young entrepreneurs, students clutching notebooks, hungry for hope. My name echoed from the stage speakers. Please welcome, Adam Rivers, CEO of Aaron Technologies. As I stepped up to the podium, my pulse steadied. I'd spoken at dozens of events before, but this one felt different. My eyes scanned the crowd and froze. Clara, sitting in the second row. Beside Ethan, both of them looked smaller, somehow, not physically, but in presence. I could almost hear her old laughter echoing in my head. You'll never make it, Adam. You're too soft for this world, I smiled. She was wrong. I adjusted the mic. Good evening, everyone. The room hushed. Cameras flashed. I leaned slightly forward. Tonight, I want to talk about failure, about being laughed at when you dream. A few people chuckled lightly, not knowing the weight of what I meant. When I started, I continued. I had nothing but a second-hand laptop and a stubborn belief that I could make something out of myself. And people laughed. Not strangers, people I loved. A silence rippled through the audience. I didn't need to look at Clara to feel her stillness. They laughed, I said again, my tone calm, almost amused. But I learned something. Their laughter wasn't a curse. It was fuel. Every insult, every dismissal, every "you're not good enough" became the sound of my motivation. Murmurs of agreement filled the hall. Maya sat in the front row, smiling proudly. After the session, the moderator approached me. That was incredible. Adam, the way you spoke about pain turning into purpose. It's the only way to survive, I said with a grin. Then I felt it, a tap on my shoulder. Adam. Her voice was soft, trembling. I turned. Clara stood there, looking uncertain. Her once perfect posture had wilted into humility. Ethan lingered a few steps behind her, pretending to check his phone. Clara, I said, my tone polite, distant. It's been a while. It has, she said quietly. You were incredible up there. Thank you. I didn't know how to approach you, she admitted. But I wanted to say congratulations. Truly, I nodded. Appreciate it, she hesitated. I still remember the day I laughed at you. I was stupid. I met her gaze. You were honest, just not kind. She bit her lip. You've changed, so have you, I said gently. Life does that to us. Ethan finally stepped forward. Adam, he said stiffly. Your company is doing well. It's doing what it's supposed to, I replied. He forced a smile. Guess we all have our ups and downs. Some more downs than ups, I said lightly. He chuckled nervously. Fair enough. The silence between us was heavy but not bitter. It was resolved. Take care of yourself, Ethan, I said finally. And, take care of her, he nodded. I'm trying. I turned to Clara. We all are, she whispered. I'm proud of you, Adam. I'm proud of me too, I said. That's what matters now. When they left, Maya appeared beside me. That was civilized, she said. I've grown, I replied. She nudged my shoulder. You didn't even gloat. I'm impressed. Revenge isn't always loud, I said. Sometimes, it just smiles. She smirked. You planning to use that line in your next speech? Maybe, I said, laughing. But first, dinner. Later that evening, I sat alone backstage, the echoes of applause fading into the quiet hum of the empty hall. I could still see Clara's face, regretful, searching, lost. But for the first time, it didn't stir anger. It stirred gratitude. She had been the push. The storm that forced me to swim. Without her laughter, maybe I'd never have fought this hard. Maya knocked, gently. Everyone's waiting for you at the after-party. I'll be there in a minute, I said. She nodded. Don't stay too long in your thoughts. I smiled. That's where the best ideas start. I looked out over the empty seats. The very stage where I once imagined standing now beneath my feet. The irony was poetic. I whispered to myself, she laughed when I said I'd make it. But I did, and now her husband works for me. A soft chuckle escaped me. Not of pride, but peace. At the after-party, Lucas raised a glass. To Adam, the man who made it. Everyone cheered. I lifted my glass, but spoke quietly. To everyone who laughed, because without them, none of this would exist. Maya grinned. Still humble, huh? Just honest, I said. They gave me the greatest gift, doubt. And I turned it into proof. She clinked her glass against mine. And proof became an empire. An empire built on silence, I said. As the night wound down, I stepped outside. The city lights stretched endlessly, the skyline reflecting in the glass towers. I now owned offices in. I thought about the journey. The hostels, the betrayals, the sleepless nights, the mockery. Every scar had become a stepping stone. I took a deep breath, whispering into the cool night air. Karma doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it smiles. And in that quiet smile, I finally understood success wasn't the revenge. Peace was